Beloved Productions.
La 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 la. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo. Anasafisha, fisha, anaosha, anaosha, anasafisha.
Alex is on the beat.
Nimemwona akinifanyia, nimemwona akinitendea. Kweli Mungu amenifanyia, nimemwona akinitendea. Kuna mara nahisi nilie kwa yale ametenda yeye. Huyu Mungu nimemwona. Kuna Mungu wa rehema, mema anakuwazia. Jipe moyo utamwona.
Hakuna mpango, ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Amanga kwake sawa sawa. Yeye ni Mungu wa baraka. Mipango baba. Yeye ni Mungu wa baraka. Hakuna mpango. Ana mipango baba. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango. Wacha kufeel sorry about yourself. Usisikize sauti za watu, Mungu ndo final. Ila kutangulia sio kufika, pole pole ndo mwendo. Imani yako ibaki kwa Mungu mwenye uwezo. Toka kitandani shutuka, inakupasa kujituma na baraka zitashuka shuka kwako wewe. Kuna Mungu wa rehema, mema anatuwazia. Na ndo maana niko kwa nasimamanga kwake sawa sawa. Yeah. Wabaraka, 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 baba wabaraka, wabaraka, baba wabaraka. Na fadhili zake za milele. Wabaraka, 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 baba wabaraka, wabaraka, baba nasimamanga kwake sawa sawa. Yeah. Ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Amanga kwake sawa sawa. Yeye ni Mungu wa baraka. Hakuna mpango.
Hakuna mipango.
Yeye ni Mungu wa baraka. Hakuna mpango. Ana mipango baba. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango.
Anasafisha, fisha, anaosha, anaosha, anasafisha dada.
Anasafisha, fisha, anaosha, anaosha, anasafisha dada. Ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Ana mipango nawe. Amanga kwake sawa sawa. Yeye ni Mungu wa baraka. Hakuna mpango.
Hakuna mipango.
Mungu wa baraka. Hakuna mpango. Ana mipango baba. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Hakuna mpango.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio.
Hey, big up 23 ile mtaa mi utaka na hii nyingine jo, na hii nyingine jo. Hey, washaweka bounty ju flow killer beat imeoga kiopina nina mazai kwako tu za topina na vile niko ndani mzeya I'm so ina si take shots na bareda critics hawawezi kunispot under radar na bring the house down I'm a tremor na leta fire I'm a flamer na rusha motomo na shikata wazaina mamokoro so na Jesus na songa I still roga shetani namba kisogo mosodo don't whine wabambiki juu Mungu anameja na maina na feel ni kinda I mean refine I'm fine mokori ni jeso imebaki na saika sishiki kijo I mean refine I'm fine cause you get that me na cry sweet tighter sishiki kijo na city shikijo I mean refine I'm fine cause you get that me na cry sweet tighter iko nini sina tabu siko steam manyaru mziki mekoma iko fit kuitwa babu pictures of men kwa hizi streets mi ndio nyavu alright hii ndio sababu I got the juice in madafu maji kwa mi majabu amefura utadhani taxin mashavu nina mwamba si ababu shaito simfil kalamu wash by his blood damu kauna ni feel usishushe yo hamu na don't whine wabambiki vile Mungu anameja na maina na feel ni kinda I mean refine I'm fine mokori ne jeso imebaki na saika sishiki kijo I mean refine I'm fine cause you get that me na cry sweet tighter sishiki kijo na city shikijo I mean refine I'm fine cause you get that me na cry sweet tighter giggling with the bass, street legit, I'm bringing the hits. Steady wind, the one on the field. Wicked, honey, my face, see that sponsor, and lip in my bill. I'm sticking the rail, we kicking in Christ, you know the drill. Blah, woo. So I'm back in the dojo, and the Lord. Kwa hearing, who keep and I need the Frodo. Shetani, Anna, Basha, Anna, Teta, Zima, Moto, Guna, life after death, CLA, we hear YOLO. Okay, hit jockey art, give away. Madam, to go church, put your back into it. So lazima post, note, I'm out, could you, na kile una post, put your fact into it. Woo. Ijogi at giveaway. Madam do go judge, put your back into it. Sela zima, we track kujue. Na kile una post, work a fact into it. Sishiki kijo. I mean refine I'm fine up. Cause you get that, me na cry sweet tighter. Sishiki kijo. Na city shikijo. I mean refine I'm fine but you get that me na cry sweet tighter sishiki kijo I mean refine I'm fine cause you get that me na cry sweet tighter sishiki kijo na city shikijo I mean refine I'm fine but you get that me na cry sweet tighter 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 me na
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
One time, two time. You already know now. We captured you since I met you, Jesus. You, since I met you. I met this man and he changed my life. He told me that he had to pay a price, and the price that he paid on that racket cross poured his blood for me. I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, it's another new chapter. Holla, I'm doing it for the master. Saved by grace, I'm no longer a disaster. Spirit of a billionaire, no, I'm not a hustler. It all started the day I met him on the cross. The day I gave my life to him without the teams on. That was the day I sang a new song. Amazing grace forever, sweetest sound. I surrender, who am I to boss? Salute to the most high, I can never floss. He's the boss, man, believe me, he's the boss. I can always sing it when the beat drops. I'm on for the game cause I'm out of the cage. I'm not for the fame but I'm here for the change. Christ is the way, the truth and the life. No longer in darkness, I'm walking in light. The wages of sin can never be life. No longer losers winning the fight. He died on the cross to save my life. No longer my life.
Since I met you, since I met Jesus, I've never been the same.
again, recap at Church of Kings, spitting truth from the booth, loose in the noose that we having fellas checking deuces to their own. And haters do the best just to magnify the wrongs, but really I'm sorry. My faith only bothers we hear who bought me. Therefore I ain't praised with the talk of men around me. My journey is between me and the one who started it in me. Prohibit me to inhibit the spirit that is within me. They told me I needed more exposure. Like if I was taking a photo in inferior light, I started to see myself in an inferior light. Samsung, Sony, I had many stereotypes. Now I put bars in your faces, I don't read your rights. I got some advice so you don't get consumed by these lights. A word from the wise, gotta keep your eyes on the prize. Nairobi for Christ, look at how he paid all the price.
Since I met you, since I met Jesus, I've never been the same. Since I met Jesus, I'm forever changed. I'm forever
Come as you are. And you ain't gotta change.
Come as
Cause he loves you anyway.
Come as
Just
you
come
are.
as you are.
You'll be forever
and
changed.
you will be forever changed.
Come as you
You
are.
ain't gotta change.
Come as
Cause
you
he loves
are.
you anyway.
Come as
Just
you
come
are.
as you are.
You'll
Come
never
as you
be
are.
the same.
Yeah.
I met you. Since I met you. I met this man and he changed my life. Since I met you. I met this man and he changed my life. Yeah.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
A good morning to you. A good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and happy Monday. Happy Monday, Mkoaje. How are you guys feeling? How was the weekend? I am excited for the week, excited for the day. And welcome to Sheversations. My name is Caroline Murote, here with you on Power Radio, where you tune in and power up. And we are going to be cruising along nicely from 11 to 1 p.m. Those 2 beautiful hours, the most beautiful 2 hours of your day, because you are hanging out with me. Karibu sana to the show. And we have been ushered in by Wapendo Muziki saying Anasafisha, and then Sishikiki by Stony Jiwe, and then That Was You by Churchill King. Let me know how you're spending, how you spent your weekend, and what you're looking forward to achieving by the end of this week. And call, text, voice note, do whatever with this number, whatever it is that you want to do. 0748379231. And on the socials, on Instagram, it's at Caroline_Murote and at Power Radio. On Facebook and Twitter, it's at Caroline Murote at Power Radio. And on TikTok, it's at Carol Murote, that's CarolMurote and at Power Radio. Yes, and feel free to reach us out and holla at us on our hashtags Sheversations, Sheversations with Caroline Murote, #TuneIn, Power Up, Power Radio, Nayam Wishes, Art of Expression. So that's a place for us to have those conversations. So yes, I'm excited. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what drama has happened, the beautiful things, any testimony that you might be having. Feel free to come into my DMs and testify, sister, testify, brother, and follow me on all of the socials. Follow Power Radio on all of the socials. Like, do you get like support? Like, if you like this conversation, you like this girl, you like what we're talking about, you just because you're listening, just because you can, it's free. Just give us a follow, like our posts, and leave comments, right? On YouTube, leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking about the playlist. If you want to shout somebody out, and anything that you might have to say, please let us know. Okay, here we leave for the art of expression. So express yourself, okay? Already, now we're gonna jump into Ability by 1005 Songs, and another one by 1005 Songs is Monoma. Yes, and then we are gonna jump into what has been happening in the world of the girlies, in the space of the girlies. I'll see you in a shorter minute than you would imagine.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
1005 Songs and
And he
more.
said I can move any mountains for you. Mountains for you. Yes, so I'm going anaweza. He can move any mountains for you. Any mountains for you.
me shine another dawn. And it's another got ability like Yahweh. He suppressed the kings of the underworld, my way. Rock of the ages, ancient of days, lily of the valley and the bright and morning star. Anything is possible with him. He raised up the dead after days in the grave. Parted the sea for the nation in a minute. He'll answer your matter in less than a minute.
I can move any mountains for you. Mountains for you. It's the one going out west. I know west.
He can move any mountains for you. Any mountains for you. I know west. Yeah, I know west.
All things possibility with God of ability. Ability. Possibility. All things possibility with God of ability. Ability. Possibility.
Inna the dark when it's tough, you always stepping up. Endless possibilities, salute the Holy Trinity, yeah. See, no eye ever seen it, no ear ever heard it. I know man can't conceive it. The good things in store for those who love him. I'm ready now to see the impossible.
And he said I can move any mountains for you. Mountains for you. It's the one going out west. I know west.
He can move any mountains for you. Any mountains for you. I know where's yeah. I know where's
all things possibility with God of ability. Ability. Possibility. All things possibility with God of ability. Ability. Possibility. And he said I can move any mountains for you. Mountains for you. It's the one going out west. I know west.
He can move any mountains for you. Any mountains for you. I know where's yeah. I know where's
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
1005 songs in
See how I look when you move, see where you take credit to you do, see your kwangu pozangu. God when him true, got a better view, and since I met you, when you nuru yangu. Fact of the matter, see my Christ is the answer. You got me, so I gotta get it. Raise up the banner, make him not forget it. Stop searching for truth on my socials, looking for answers, got promos. Sana jua, there's only one way. Ni yes, only one way.
Is the biggest out there. I've been feeling the rap with them scriptures all over like, yeah. I know you like it, cause you know Jehovah's son is invited. And every time that he shows up, demons are finished. So there goes my heartfelt condolences to the enemy. I'm seated in heavenly places far beyond this reach. My advocate is Jesus, I'm enjoying immunity. Paid by the blood, restoration by the Father. I'm in the assembly of the firstborn, enrolled in the heavenly places of the dawn. Spirits of the rushes made perfect for God by the blood of the Lamb. Now I walk like him, talk like him, reign with him, and he calls me his. Made in his image, tell me, do you see it? Son of the dawn, rapping my city, you heard? them, I got is the biggest out there. I've been filling the rap with them scriptures all over like, yeah. I know you like it, cause you know Jehovah's son is invited. And every time that he shows up, demons are finished, so done.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
It's been a really long time, tangu nikuvutie. I only called today, but I think about you every day. Najua nilichoma, yeah. I take the blame. Juu tangu iyo day, I've never been the same. Find me at B&D of late kila weekendi. Nimekosana na wengi, lakini sisi I'm regretting. I know you know me well, usikate juu niko mlevi. Please don't hang up on me, niache niseme ukweli. I've been upset cause no one loves me better. Hata wanipende aje, na wapenda shingo pande. I know you're upset cause no one loves you better. Hata wakupende aje, utahepa someday. I'm not stalking you, niliona umepost pictures are cost. Your new man doing the most. You seem happy, you seem so happy. Called to let you know I'm taken but available for you. Bestie, we nirudishie phone, cause you don't understand what the hell is going on. Kilimani reminds me I'm alone. Oh, I need to call her now. She needs to know what's in my heart. Oh, I've been upset cause no one loves me better. Hata wanipende aje, na wapenda shingo pande. I know you're upset cause no one loves you better. Hata wakupende aje, utahepa someday. I've been upset cause no one loves me better. Hata wanipende aje, na wapenda shingo pande. I know you're upset cause no one loves you better. Hata wakupende aje, utahepa someday.
Reminds me I'm alone. Oh, I need to call her now. She needs to know what's in my heart. Oh, Kilimani reminds me I'm alone. Oh, I need to call her now. Needs to know what's in my heart.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
And welcome back to Sheversations. And I've been upset because no one loves me better. You're nine is a quote, Kweli. I know Jesus loves me. Like, as for the human beings, no one loves me better. Hey. But I'm okay, guys. I'm strong. I'm a strong girl. I'm a very, 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 very strong girl. Okay, so that was Better by Motorio. Right before that, we had Monoma with that's by 1,005 songs, and Ability 1,005 songs already. Now, what's happening? Let's talk about what's happening, guys, because sometimes sijuangi what's happening. And are you ever curious about what's happening Kilizwa? By the way, form ukwaje, I never know how to answer that question, because I'm like, do you want me to tell you how I've been doing financially? Do you want me to tell you how I've been emotionally? So I feel like it's always very easy, without being fake, because that's never the intention, to just say, mimi niko sawa, I'm good. Because if you're not ready to therapize me through what I'm actually experiencing in my life, nitaanza kukwambia aje ati sijui nimesota. at which juncture am I going to be talking about? So let me know how you guys actually share in conversations. I share. I never have any issue. I never, ever, ever, ever have any issue with sharing how I'm feeling, but I'm learning. The more time I spent in this year Nairobi, I realized that people's receptivity of how you're feeling really depends on the cultural context. And in this culture, if you're suffering, you better be quiet. Most of the time, because as much as people will sympathize with you, a lot of people will either get tired of you or they will pity you. And those are lessons that I'm learning. Lessons Caroline has learned. I should give it like a title. Lessons I've learned. Lessons I'm learning. How to be Kenyan, becoming Kenyan. Ebu mniambia which one sounds good. Yeah, I would say becoming Kenyan, because a lot of mine comes from a different cultural perspective. And it's different because I feel like in the Southern African culture, people are very frank with how they feel. They're like, you're suffering. Yo. Like, you'll explain your story. People will laugh with no ill intentions. Here, you're never really sure. So it's a Kenyan thing to be very subtle about how you're really feeling. And then it's a very Caroline thing to be very direct and verbose and loud about how she's feeling. So, and also what's happening. So I'm learning to strike a balance, to not silence myself and how God created me, how I was raised, my tendencies, how I express myself versus how to exist in this culture and not lose your mind and actually learn and thrive and enjoy conversations, interactions, and see the beauty in everything. So yeah, it's quite a journey trying to merge different African cultures in one human being. And when I tell you guys that my body, my mind, my emotions are the crime scene of a cultural crime, whatever that is, I can't blame anybody. I don't know who done it. I don't know who the perpetrator of the crime is other than colonization. Okay, we blame the whites. That always works. Then I am the scene of a crime because I never know what I'm suffering from. If it's lack of awareness, if it's being naive, if it's being clueless, if it's being unwilling to adapt, whatever it is, we are going through a very beautiful journey, and I'm going to be carrying you guys along because I want to share my experiences as authentically as possible. But on a more direct note, on a more relevant note as to what's been happening this particular Monday, I'm just going to share stories across the board, happenings that have happened recently, some of them not so recently, but yeah, across the board, the girlies, what's going on with the girlies? You know what's going on with this girly because I be telling you all my business every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But out there, these are the things that have been happening. So in the spaces of expression, I like that one, and the spaces of artivism, where we have said time and time again, in case you're new here, artivism is when you use art and means of expression, creative means of expression, to protest, to speak for, to advocate for something, and hoping that it's going to end up, in a social change, just changing narratives and creating a change via your art and your music, your poetry, whatever it is that you do as an artist. Now, on the 2nd of July, we have ICJ Kenya Democracy Forum, which happened in Nairobi, and it highlighted democracy's intersection with art, with digital storytelling, and gender equality. And panels included Justin Wanda, who's a Kenyan digital creator, and Gado, that's Gado, and this is a Tanzanian cartoonist, and they focused on creative civic engagement across East Africa. And this is extremely relevant to us because artivism is what the conversation is about. How do you bridge art and how do you bridge activism? And this kinds of forums, this kinds of initiatives actually empower the youth as well as digital creators, because we are the life force of the nation. Young people are the life force of the nation. And Kenya is 80% youth, meaning that 80% of Kenya is in between the ages of 18 and 35, which is so beautiful because it means that we have so much potential in this country. And thank God that this generation is very artistically expressive, from the way we dress, the photographers in town, wasanii, everybody wants to be a DJ, an artist, a photographer, social media influencer. I love it for us. Now, On the 11th of July, we had the World March of Women, where they issued a solidarity declaration recognizing Kenyan youth-led and women-inclusive protest as feminist resistance. You know that when the girlies come together as women for the purposes of protesting, that's actually resistance, and we stand. And this particular march condemned state violence and sexual assault against protesters. Okay. All right. And this actually validates our feminism and feminist activism globally. And this is actually tied particularly to the Kenyan struggle. So there's our Kenyan feminists rising up and saying, Sissy, to mechoka, just bandwagoning on everybody else's protest. It's okay. But can we actually be at the forefront and be a thought leader with regards to what's going on in our country, with regards to protesting all social ills, femicide, GBV, police brutality, corruption, and so on and so forth. And on the 7th of July, of course, the legendary, one of the most important days with regards to commemorating the protests that have formed us, that have really shaped us as a nation, is Sabasaba Day. And Sabasaba Day protests saw art activists leading a March for Our Lives, hashtag March for Our Lives themed performances across the Nairobi CBD before crackdowns. And the youth used banners, they used poetry, and they used live art to demand democracy. So imagine that. And essentially what this looks like is a big scope of Sarafina. Yeah, where instead of fighting, we decide fighting is good, but we decide to fight and also do poetry. We decide to protest and also have live performances. We decide to protest as well as use very creative banners. And you need to know that art is used as a nonviolent, a civic tool in protest spaces. So in case you're wondering what your space is, in the space of protest, activism, advocacy, use your art, paint somewhere, use music, play something out loud on a megaphone, say how you feel without necessarily needing to, physically do something on the streets. Or go and display your art physically on the streets when we're protesting. And it makes it a beautiful protest. It truly, truly, truly does. Now, in the space of taking care of ourselves, right? Human rights, police brutality, the evils of society, the evils that we don't like this anymore. We had on the 6th of July, because there was so much going on, guys. This month has been jam-packed. We had armed mobs that attacked the KHRC, that's a Kenyan Human Rights Commission offices in Nairobi. Did you know that? And they assaulted women as well as human rights defenders on the eve of the protests. And FIDA Kenya condemned the violence. That's very, 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 very sad. And we need to see more of what FIDA is doing, which is civil society securing protest space for women. That is extremely, extremely important, right? And speaking of FIDA Kenya, on the 9th of July, that's 3 days later, they released a briefing, and the Kenya Press briefing that reported at least 50 protest-related deaths that most media outlets never want to come clean, about. And this included a 12-year-old girl killed by a stray bullet during Sabasaba protest. And they also flagged the police use of plainclothes officers and sexual violence incidents covering your face, being plainclothed. As this is all illegal. And sometimes whenever I talk about these things, I literally get a physical sensation of disgust, because that's just how much I care about justice. That's how much I get disgusted by the idea that this is our reality, that there's people out there so wicked and lawless and godless in their hearts, because you don't honor God if this is what you do to your fellow countrymen, whether you're the one giving the orders or the ones, are following through on the orders. I believe that even in a desperate situation, you always have a choice to make. So I reject officers under orders being the reason as to why. And we saw the officer that shot down the mask seller, Boniface Mwangi, that passed away. We saw him being charged for murder by himself, because at no point does the Constitution support and defend you because you were given orders. So Murkomen and his friends and whoever it is that decided that we are criminals that need to be tried on the street, judge, jury, and executioner, you are actually going to be charged by yourself, peke yako. And even if it's not here on earth, I believe the afterlife has a lot waiting for you. Very hottest corners of hell. So it's something that really moves me, angers me, and I hope you guys are doing well mentally, emotionally. Please keep Jesus close, because wow, anything else is just going to keep triggering you. And on top of that, now we have another report, right? On the same day, FIDA Kenya addressed sexual violence during the protest, right? Another report where the reports included gang rape and attempted rape of female protesters. Yeah, we saw this on social media. We saw it all over the streets of Nairobi and different spaces where protests were happening, that sexual violence was weaponized. Already sexual violence is crime by itself, but now it was intentionally targeted against protesters, right? And FIDA demanded independent investigations and legal aid for survivors from the government, an encouragement for the rest of civil society to rise up and come together in arms, because when there's lack of police oversight, when the legal and the justice systems fail us, then survivors must be taken care of by common wananchi. If the ones that are not common, in quotes, are not doing whatever it is that they owe citizens, whatever is due to citizens, all right? And then on the 17th of July, at an NCAG meeting with Chief Justice Martha Koome, FIDA's chair, Christine Kongo, called for improved protection for women during protest and justice reform. So this is just a follow-up on the same story of police brutality and just sexual violence against women during protests. And this requires, this whole story, this whole mess really shows the need for us to, through institutions, call safeguarding of women's rights within government frameworks and effective implementation of these measures, so that it actually works qua ground, so that qua ground women are actually, protected. So just a lot of this stories of, just a walkthrough of what has been going on in women's spaces in the month of July. A lot of it are just pointing to the lack of systems, the lack of there's no safeguarding, the lack of safeguarding for women. And at the end of the day, essentially, then we're neglecting women's human rights and Kenyans' human rights by refusing to take the things that are affecting us directly seriously. Okay. And now, in the space of governance, in the rule of law, and just the systems of accountability, on the 7th of July, Sabasaba Day again, Nairobi went into lockdown as police clashed with protesters, resulting in at least 10 deaths, right? And the government blocked CBD entry and deployed masked plainclothes officers, right? So what do we need? A lot of civil society watchdogs need to actually come up, because it's nonsense that's affecting us in the most painful way, right? And anything that's going on with Kenyans is going to affect women. That's why we are reminding ourselves of these stories. This is why we are talking about what does it actually mean? Because it happened, okay, but what does it mean? It means that we are not a law-abiding country, especially when it comes to the ones who are supposed to be administrators of justice, okay? Now, yes, so we also have on the 24th of July, we have a Time opinion piece by a Kenyan diaspora writer who denounced state repression under President Ruto, linking the rising authoritarianism to the violent protests and economic hardships, as well as unfulfilled promises. And so we need to see more of these diasporan voices amplifying Kenyan governance issues and calling for reforms, right? Because if we don't, tabaki tu hivi. It's nothing is ever going to change. So if you're a Kenyan, an African, a humanitarian who's out there and, has a voice, then just pile it on to whatever it is that's been done, because, momentum is really what makes the difference, is when there's a lot of people doing the same thing, everybody chipping their own little part of the block. And at the end of the day, it becomes a beautiful, beautiful thing where we actually start to see pieces moving. We start to see change. We start to enjoy the change. And so, yeah, kudos to this particular writer. Kudos to them. And then on the 9th of July, we had the African Commission on Human and People's Rights issuing a press release condemning police use of live ammunition against protesters, including the killing of a street vendor and restriction of press coverage. Okay. Now, we need media regulation with regards to the media regulating what's going on by, those cameras need to be shooting. We need more cameras shooting than guns, okay? We need to come up with systems of setting cameras strategically in places where we know protests are going to happen. And that needs to happen. The media is supposed to be the countries, the fifth estate, the watchdogs of what's going on. We need better eyes. We need to have eyes in these spaces. And thank God, that there is condemnation. Because why in the world would police be using live ammunition? That's very, very discouraging. And then on the 25th of July, we had Washington Post featuring two youth friends. We had Collins and Stephen, who were injured on different sides of the protest, illustrating how economic desperation drives some youth to become goons, while others protest. So one was a protester and one was a goon, and both of these were injured, right? And this really underlines the socioeconomic drivers of both dissent as well as counter-protest violence. It's the same system. On Monday, I was on my way to Fitness in the Word a service, which happens at the Nairobi Cinema every single Monday from 5 to around 9 p.m. It's a church service. You're very, very welcome. But I was seated outside of the Nairobi Cinema as I was waiting for, call time, the service to begin. So just around 4 something, and I was watching some street kids, and I saw, they were bantering, and there was somebody who had a bottle of water, and he grabbed the water from this girl, and they started scuffling and fighting for the water bottle, and he sipped a little bit, and then the girl grabbed it from him, and the other kids, they looked like teenagers, older teenagers or young adults in their early 20s, but you can tell these kids have grown up in the streets because you can see signs of underdevelopment and malnourishment, as much as they also looked fairly healthy. But you could tell these are kids that have grown up in the streets. There's just some tells that, just shows you that, no, these are street kids, these are street families. And so when the boy had the water taken from him, because it wasn't his, he had grabbed it first, he took it again and he poured it on the girl and hit her with a bottle. And I asked myself, genuinely, it was just an observation. There was nothing deep. I just happened to be eating my hot dog and looking in their direction because it was interesting. There was nothing better to look at. And I was seated somewhere there near Nairobi Cinema outside of Naivas. And I asked myself, if this boy, young man, and the girls, but it was mostly the boy, because I saw how easy it was for him to hit the girl with a bottle. First of all, the water isn't his, and he's grabbing it violently. And, there's a particular lack of finesse that somebody who has grown up in the streets lacks, the normal social decorum. You're not surprised about how rough around the edges they are. You understand that they were not raised like most of us who grew up in home situations. Yes, I'm not saying that everybody is, well-rounded and well-cultured in their mannerisms. Not really, but I am saying that you can tell, you understand why they would be like that. And so I asked myself, now, the way this boy has just hit this girl, does he understand that you're not supposed to do that? And my answer was like, no. The way the girl was responding, hakuwa amelalamika. This is normal. We hit each other, we throw things, it's okay. And then I moved past that thought and I asked myself, so if a man or woman came and gave this boy 3,000 shillings or 200 shillings, 500 shillings, and gave them a rungu or a weapon to cause havoc in the street during protests, and they were told that if you do a good job, we're going to pay you again. And you need to bring the rest of your friends to us If you bring us 3 friends, we add for you 500 shillings. Would he have any issue doing that? If he's not been raised in a home, he's not been brought up in the same, manner of common sense and home upbringing, like home, what do they call it? Yeah, that one, home training. And so with regards to the post, the Washington Post that has featured 2 different friends on 2 different ends of the spectrum, protester versus gun, like it's actually the socioeconomic, thing that's making them both go into the streets. And I realized that a lot of the goons that we saw, not that they have blackened hearts, but they're not as sensitive to what's going on because they don't understand and they don't know. It's a lack of awareness, a lack of education. And when you know what you should to anger you and move you enough to go into the streets, it's because you've gotten an education. It's because you're aware. So whether it's a social education, whether it's because you actually went to school and learned to rationalize what you're seeing on the news, what's going on in the country, it's because you have been empowered. And so the presence, the ability for the government to hire goons successfully, lots and lots of them, thousands of them across the country, means that there is so many young men and women, but mostly young men, living in poverty that are socio-economically underserved, that makes it possible for them to be misused. And that's something that my heart went out, just to understand that, yeah, you're a goon, you'll lose your life if the people get you, but at the end of the day, you're just at the mercy of a broken system and the ones who are in power, the corrupt, that misuse systems so that the assistance due to citizens does not trickle down. So I want you to think about that. Let me know what you think about that. And then just on a wider regional space, right, within the African context, but Kenyan still, we had the Amnesty Kenya Gazette, NHRW, right, earlier this month, early July, raising alarm on cross-border abductions taking place in Kenya. And this include high-profile cases involving foreign activists like Maria Sarungi Tehai. Okay. And yeah, this is an issue that's affecting territory as well as state complicity. And now there is more stories. Yes. More stories of, cross-border abductions. And it's getting to a point where you become more scared. I reject fear. It is not my portion. I am a child of God. But you understand that now people who speak up and speak out would have a certain fear. There's a certain silence that's created when these things happen because you're not sure what's going to happen to you. Whether you make a post on Facebook, whether you're a blogger, whether you create an app like Munyiri, the lady that was arrested for creating an app that would assist people. It's crazy. And fear is what is being sold here. So Amnesty Kenya Gazette was, just not giving the best review of the police system in high-profile cases, right, versus activists, right? And Maria Sarungi Tehai is just one example. We know that there have been so many. And now, again, the African Commission, a solidarity statement, and FIDA responses showcase Africa-wide recognition and support of Kenya's youth-led feminist uprisings. So yeah, Kenya is actually making its mark with regards to the space of women at the forefront of protests against human rights abuses. And this is with regards to the World March of Women, the outcry against femicide and femicide KE. All of this is getting global recognition with regards that women in Kenya are doing a lot. We are not quiet. We refuse to stay seated and be killed in silence. And we thank God the Kenyan human rights struggles are being recognized in regional feminist frameworks because it is also giving credit to where credit is due. And in a lot of protesting space, women's voices are often relegated to second hand background positions and given little to no credit for the work that they are doing on the ground, in the streets and outside, And so it's quite an encouragement that the regional community has been is recognizing the efforts of Kenyan women, Kenyan feminists to be specific. And that means that we are doing a good job. Eventually, some change is created. Might not be the change you want to see today, but don't get tired. Whatever it is that you fight for, do not get tired. Okay, so that is what has been happening in the women's spaces across July, right? Just some of the stories that have caught our eye here on Sheversations with regards to the different issues, that have been ongoing in our country that actually affect our well-being as women, our well-being as young Kenyans. Yes, and now for the last story that I'm going to share is particularly close to home, again in the space of human rights activism, just artivism, just a lot of that. And this is just as recently as the 20th of July, where the Kenyan police arrested activist Boniface Mwangi over his apparent role in deadly protests. Now, this is according to Reuters Kenya, and I'm just going to share a bit of the story as is. Yes, and Kenyan police have arrested prominent human rights activist Boniface Mwangi and plan to arraign him on suspicion of facilitating terrorist acts linked to deadly anti-government protests last month. Okay, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that's the DCI, said on X that detectives had arrested Mwangi at his home in Machakos County and has seized 2 unused tear gas canisters and one 7.62 millimeters blank round, along with 2 mobile phones, a laptop, and notebooks. And in addition to the terrorism charges, Mwangi is also due to be arraigned for unlawful possession of ammunition. Okay, a representative from Mwangi could not immediately be reached for comment, and this is due to hundreds of Kenyans, or this is on the wake of hundreds of Kenyans taken to the streets last month following the death in police custody of political blogger Albert Ojwang, may he so rest in peace, reigniting a protest movement fueled by anger over the cost of living and what activists say is police brutality and corruption. Reuters is being so polite to say what activists say, and I say this is what it is. It doesn't matter what activists call it. According to our constitution, it is police brutality and corruption. Right, and the government funded Kenya National Commission on Human Rights said 19 people were killed in the protests on June 25. There are more people that DCI referred to in its post about Mwangi, and another 31 people died when protests flared again on July 7th, the commission said. So before I even just get to the last paragraph, the end of the story, so interesting how the DCI would flip this over and say that somebody who has been actively protesting against police brutality and abuses of human rights in our country, something that's as clear as day for all of us to see, would then turn around and blame the same people protesting. So this is it's government fueled machinery against state armed violence against citizens, and this is actually coming against our freedom of expression, our freedom to protest that's constitutionally given to us. So the government is mandated to protect the rights of its citizens, and now we see a government that is doing the opposite. So that's one of the stories that have been close to home here to us, part 254. This being the gentleman who founded this organization that does so much with regards to empowering young people in this country in an expressive way, in a way that makes our country better. So it's very interesting to be alive in a time where you would hear stories za Moi, you would hear those stories of what would happen, and then just having just being in the making of history, being in the making of history, being in the making of the stories that the future children will read about when you read about activists, and always hoping that there's going to be a happy ending, a happier ending. Yeah, so let me just continue sharing just the rest of the story here. And of course, this is there's been updates to the story, but this particular one, I just wanted to share how it began on the 20th of July. And it says that Mwangi is a well-known activist who once ran for parliament on anti-corruption platform. And in May, he was arrested and deported from neighboring Tanzania. They should also add tortured and harassed, where he had traveled to observe a hearing in a treason case against detained opposition leader Tundu Lissu, who was also unconstitutionally detained. Okay, he said afterwards that members of the Tanzanian security forces had sexually assaulted him. Yes, during his detention. And on Friday, he filed a complaint at the East African Court of Justice. That particular Friday after the 20th of July. He filed a complaint at the East African Court of Justice in connection with those allegations. So this particular story was reported by Humphrey Malalo and Maxwell Akalare, yes, and edited by Robbie Corey Bullet. And you can find that on Reuters, which is one of the most, if you're a journalist, you understand. And if you're not, you can find a lot of factual news there, but with very interesting opinions. There's a lot of alleged here, which a lot of Kenyans, most Kenyans know that we know exactly what's happening because we live in this country and we have been seeing what's been happening to many of us who dare to speak up. So that's a lot of what's happening. Yeah, a lot of what's happening. But if you care about human rights in this country, to live a good life, even as a woman, then these are the things that we need to be keeping an eye on. These are the things that we need to be having our ears open on, because they are going to determine whether your daughter, your sister, your friend, your mother is going to continue living peacefully in this country, or if they do decide that God has convicted them, or they feel convicted, to just be a voice of reason and a voice that is speaking against a government that is corrupt and harmful to its people, then this might be their story. Boniface Mwangi's story might be their story. But enough on that for now. And we're going to get into a jam just to de-trigger ourselves, all right? Just to get into a better headspace as we continue talking about whatever it is that the girlies are doing and what the girlies need to be doing, okay? So yeah, we're going to continue a conversation that was began last week with regards to different matters, which you're going to find out in just a moment. So this jam coming up is for you. This is Amefanya Mungu by Upendo Muziki, and I'm going to be back shortly.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Amenivua vazi la aibu na moyo wangu wakati sina budi ila nimusifu. Hey.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Amerika hello, akashtuka kuhome na mimi, lakini siwezi dedi. Tukibaki alone when you're calling my phone. I hope unajua siwezi slake it. Check it, shaniwasha videdly. Waiting for your text on my phone, yes you know I'm still checking. When you want to call me it's amazing. Playing hard to get, oh if I get to you. Oh no, Nairobi kuna story. City love inaweza leta ngori. Everyone's got their guard up I say. We all want somebody but do we want to stay? Tonsils the way that you sweet are coming my way. Tell me lockdown, utapata knockdown. Oh yeah. Aliruka hello, akashtuka kuona mimi, lakini siwezi dedi. Tukibaki alone when you're calling my phone. I hope unajua siwezi slake. Aliruka hello, akashtuka kuona mimi, lakini siwezi dedi. Tukibaki alone when you're calling my phone. I hope unajua siwezi slake.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Welcome back, and the place is Sheversations. The girl is Caroline Murote, and the conversation right now is about modesty. Yes, so this is a conversation from last week's show that we had on Wednesday. So on this particular Monday, we're just going to give that particular conversations finish here on Sheversations because we're talking about modesty, the media, as well as moral policing. What does that have to do with women, and why are women's bodies still public property in our country? Yes, and before I continue to dive into that, we just heard from the good sounds of Upendo Muziki sing Amefanya Mungu. We thank God, we thank the Most High, and Slicky by Key, then short but sweet, short and sweet. Now, what did we say last week about modesty? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we said that modesty is not neutral. We said that modesty is cultural, it is religious, it is political. I hope that your notebooks are out to revise. And we said that there's different perspectives on modesty and how it works, how it applies. And there was a lot of, modesty is moral and necessary. And I tend to agree with that modesty is moral and necessary because there is almost no culture. There are very few cultures that do not attribute dress and appearance to morality. Okay, there's a particular way if you look, then there's a problem. And you need to look a certain way to be awarded a certain level of respect in so many different perspectives. And also there is a perspective that modesty has been weaponized, that I do agree with that 100% because of the slut shaming. My Dress, My Choice in Kenya came as a result of women's bodies being disrespected and citizens deciding to police women's bodies, to decide to be the moral upholders of what women should look like. Yet we've said modesty is not neutral. What is modesty to you is not modesty to me, and that's something that was an oversight. And quite a disturbing story, honestly, when I think about it, because there are so many graphic images and videos. Because why would you record? Why would you press record and a woman is being harassed, she's being stripped naked? And what's the point? If you want to shame the woman for not dressing appropriately, how is undressing her a good... How is that a solution? Okay, so it's quite redundant. It's productive. Yeah, we said that modesty is subjective, right? And we said that modesty culture, mind you, not modesty itself. Modesty culture blames victims. Yes, it blames victims for what has happened to them. When you are raped, the first thing they will ask, or one of the things that for sure will be asked, is alikuwa amevaa nini? I would be glad to hear, not happy that rape is still happening, but glad to hear that, in a particular case being handled, there was no alikuwa amevaa nini nonsense. Na alikuwa wapi nonsense. Okay, I understand that those things do contribute, the context of how everything happened, us understanding that you're more likely to be attacked by sane and inhumane people are higher in some spaces, sometimes some others. If you look present yourselves differently. But we've said whether you're a non-Muslim prostitute, doesn't matter. That is illegal. It is disgusting, and we are not going to justify it by where were you, what time, what were you doing? Because if men can do it and be happy and peaceful and not be raped, we do know that this happens, sexual abuse happens to men as well. But if men don't live in the fear of being raped by walking at night, they're afraid of other men robbing them and attacking them, they're not afraid of being raped, then I think that women deserve to have a similar freedom to know what that feels like. Okay, not every time, hey, but no, you're gonna be raped. So I'm gonna be raped because Siku, not I'm gonna be raped because men are crazy. So that reasoning is what we're talking about. Yeah. And we also said that that a lot of online gender disinformation when it comes to modesty, as well as like just being relaxed on those standards, is actually linked to political agendas, that policing women's bodies actually furthers some people's political agendas. And we understand that whenever it comes to politics, it's a power struggle that is always linked to resources, because when you get to run the country or parts of the country the way you want, then it means that the resources, people, time, and money are yours. That's what it means. So it's all agreed. It's all coming from greed. And unfortunately, some of the people that play these games with us are some of the richest people in this country. So what do you want? For me, I think it's disgusting, And I read in Animal Farm, one of the most legendary political analysis books, with regards to power, by George Orwell, Animal Farm. There is one of the prominent quotes that absolute power corrupts absolutely. A second one is all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Yes, this is a book I studied in high school in English literature. I will never forget. And basically, this means that there's rich people and then there's rich politicians. Okay, so rich people might be corrupt and it affects 2 or 3 people. Rich politicians will affect the whole country because they run the systems and this corruption runs into the system. So this politician doesn't need to be there tomorrow for the system to continue sucking and bleeding you dry. Okay, so all animals are equal. Yeah. But not really. So yes, we were talking about the sexualization and the shaming cycle, where we are taught that our bodies equals attention and that this attention equals value. We talked about how the media propels sexualization, and then also even behind empowerment messaging, right? But then you turn around and you shame women. We are trained as women to crave the male gaze, that's what I'll call it, or sexual gaze, because it might be women as well. Women also sexualize other women. They sexualize themselves 100%, internalized, just a lot of internalized nonsense. And then we also do get guilt tripped for it. So you want a hot girl, you want a boring girl, what do you want? Pick a struggle. And then we also talked about how we consume hypersexual content as a nation, as Africans, as human beings, and then we shame those who provide it voluntarily. So if you are going to be watching Pornhub 24/7, you shouldn't. For the record, in case you want to know, my opinion is never. Don't do it. That's toxic, harmful, wicked. And then have a problem with a girl who's on OnlyFans, have a problem with girls that are making, and men that are making sexual content. There's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you, and I'm going to leave you to sit with your feelings and ask yourself what is a problem. Okay. And we also have, now moving along, is the beauty and weight loss ads that target Kenyan women that really reinforce insecurity. Atakwa, oh my goodness, in the market, the sellers that sell, phones, nini, they record the recording and then they play it out on the speaker. So zile za dawa ya mende, sijui getting a phone in installments, pia kuna hiyo ya weight loss, sijui kupunguza tummy, ndio kuwe na flat tummy. Imagine minding your business, passing in Wangige, and then some random man on a mega speaker phone. And it's a mama mboga playing it, a very, well-fed, chubby mama mboga, and anauza hizo vitu. Madawa, I can't repeat what they say, but I'm always, at this point, it's funny. The first few times I heard it, I was like, maybe I should get that medicine, girl. Don't be fat. Maybe I should go see what they're doing to lose weight. Let's go see what they're offering. But what we're trying to say is that we have a lot of ads for skin bleaching. I went on a whole rant with regards to Mami Francie and just her saying that she's empowered and that she's supporting women while doing so through bleaching. And yeah, that I'm very uncool. Love her as a person, hate that particular message. Right. So we have a lot of ads for skin bleaching as well as slimming products that target young African women and reinforce that darker skin or curves are less than. And let me quote Mama Francie saying that if people like my glow, if I would rather be rich by bleaching. I would rather bleach and be rich than be dark and poor. She said being dark and poor or being black and poor doesn't sound right to me. That's what she said. So what message does that send out? Because you think that this is me, this is personal, this is my life, my business. But that message says that there's a problem with dark skin, that dark skin is, connotates poverty. And that when you're lighter, you do. And I'm like, yeah, but that's just feeding into the systems that the Europeans left us. And if we're going to feed into every toxic system that disempowers us as Africans in the name of I'm not going to be poor, I'm going to earn my money, get my bag because you're not going to feed me, that's very redundant. It's a very backward thinking. To be honest, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that empowered women disempower themselves thinking that it's about financial empowerment, but at the end of the day the finances are just paying for you, or you're getting paid to disempower yourself and your kind, because the system that tells you that there's a problem with dark skin is not an African system. It's a foreign system that was created not by you. You're a victim of it, and now you're victimizing other people. That's any African woman that uses bleaching creams and sells and promotes bleaching creams. And she said that she's happy, I'm paraphrasing, that she has allowed other women to talk about it and popularized being public with the fact that you bleach or the fact that you sell bleaching products. That's not good. It's not good. Not loving the skin that you're in as a black, dark-skinned woman is oppression. That is systematic oppression, and you are feeding into a system of self-hatred. Doesn't matter how you think you feel about yourself, but were we to take away these cosmetic products that brighten your skin, would you love yourself, and would you know that God has a plan for you where you can gain money, financial gain, without needing to bleach yourself and promote bleaching products and a lifestyle that teaches girls? Because I believe it's a lack of education. Nobody wakes up and wants to think that way. No, society shows you that light skin is better because, she says like, no, these people like this glow, they respond, I make money when I look like this, meaning that by her own testimony and admission, if you do this, then this life will be better for you. So she says, I, but it sends out a message. If Beyonce comes and says, I, Oprah Winfrey comes and says, I, your mother, your auntie, they're talking about themselves, but it does communicate something. So anyways, let's not act like the beauty and weight loss messaging in our country is in a vacuum. It's not. If you have a public platform, even if you don't, and you're just speaking to your daughters, your girlfriends, your nieces, your mother, there are messages that teach people how to be. And that's what we're talking about, that we have a very, interesting system that reinforces that darker skin or curves are less than. And a study that's showing on Annex, this is what? ARXIV. That's arziv.org, right? You can look at that article. You can go on the website and just check on the beauty standards article. And according to that website, a study shows that this hurt self-esteem and promote disordered eating, as well as promote self-harming beauty standards. Because if you're going to put chemicals on your skin that completely alter how you are and put you at risk of getting, skin infections or diseases, just imbalances because you're going against nature, then that's self-harm. Just because it hasn't manifested into a terrible thing, the extreme end of it does not make it any less harmful. Okay? I need us to stay here and just realize that. And we also have churches and cultural groups that shame, but rarely offer grace or healing. Okay? So if a woman from your church has nude photos out, a lot of the time they will be ostracized. No one will stop to ask what led her to that point or offer space for transformation. And if you come from a discipleship centered ministry, which is the biblical ministry where Jesus walked and did life with his disciples, and if we are called as Christians to be fishers of men, then it is our responsibility to work with people regardless of where they come from, what they're doing, what they did, what they have done, what they even want to do. So if you want and you believe that Christ is transformative, it is also our job on a human level, not just leaving it to God. God can, but we are here and we can do it. It is our job to work with people into transformation. So it's okay. So this person did something really sinful, really humiliating, wrong, sinful, embarrassing, but are you willing to walk with them to understand who they are so that you can understand how to hold space for their brokenness? So we need to see less of the stories and more of this happened. We condemn it, but we also support you. We condemn the action, so that, to make it clear that this is not an expectation, but now that it's happened, can we move forward, please? And can we support you? And how can we do that? So yeah, we need to hear less stories of women who face shame, but also more stories of women who have faced shame and reclaimed their dignity, right? But less shame across the board. And we need to be supporting mental health therapy and restorative community engagement as opposed to punishment. So you've punished this person, but have you transformed their life? Again, we're talking about churches and cultural groups. So from a Christian perspective, Christ came to transform. If you're not helping people transform in the way that you are giving them feedback about their sin or their actions, then that is anti-Christ. It goes against the teachings of Christ. If culturally you are not giving restorative and transformative solutions to the action that was done, then you are anti-cultural, because if culture is the way of life of a particular group of people, then that person is not of you because you are going against them. That's not your cultural mate. That's not your tradition mate. That's not your tribesman, because if there were, you would move together as should happen in culture. Okay? Now, we are going to talk about just a jam, and then actually no, let's just dive into this. I felt like some music, but let's dive into this. So there is this perspective where modesty is personal and not public property, and I am half nikonusunusu, right? Let's discuss, right, that Gen Zs and millennials have their own lane. Freedom with integrity. Because my parents that were boomers, I cannot relate with their thinking on facial piercings, dressing. There are some things that, like sometimes my mom would dress up and, wear a pant or skirt suit, the ones that come with the blazers at the bottom. And I'm like, umeva nini. Not that it looked ugly, but I'm just from a different generation, right? And sometimes, in these comments I've gotten about my piercings, and they're like, why would you do that? Are you now a prostitute? And I'm like, wow, guys, that escalated quickly from 0 to 100 real quick. And I am a typical millennial. Typical in the sense that I reserve the right to express myself as long as I'm not harming anybody. Yeah, even though harming for the older generation is apparently we're always harming people. As long as we don't agree with what they want us to do, then it is causing harm. We're harming them emotionally, causing distress. So sorry, parents. So sorry, Poleni, that we are ourselves and that we know why we do what we do and that we are comfortable being different. That was a half-assed apology, so I'm sorry about that. But modesty comes from spiritual or personal conviction, right? According to this perspective, and not fear. And so, like I said, half, because it really depends on how it's framed. Because I do not believe, I'm very old school, but very liberal, which is an interesting mix, right? I don't want to dress up because naogopa. In Kenya, maybe we should be afraid. Fear is effective. Fear is very effective. Our government knows that fear is effective. They kill you, they shoot you down, you will stop fighting against them. So fear is effective, but is it right? No. But I want to not dress a certain way because I believe that I shouldn't dress a certain way, not because I'm afraid. Okay? And that's what this point is saying, that spiritually, because I am convicted, sometimes there's things I would put on as depending on where I'm going, depending on the context, where am I going? And I will I would immediately know, Holy Spirit, that's my friend, that's my spiritual, this God in me will be like, no, don't wear that. That's not okay. Not my mother's voice, not Wakikuyu, not Wakenya, not Waafrika, Wamama. No, not even thinking about the Nairobian men in the streets, in the matatus. No. Just me, a spiritual or personal conviction, that some women, we're talking about women, yeah, they cover to honor sacredness. Right. We see this across the board in Islam. We see this in a lot of African traditional churches. We see this in the Wakorino, not necessarily to hide, but there is a meaning towards that. Like there's certain parts of your body that if they're not for public consumption. And it's okay if that comes from religious or religious conviction. 100%, because if you believe in something, then believe it wholeheartedly. That's what I say. If you say you're a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you say you're a Christian, be a Christian. If you say you're Rastafari, be that. Like, don't do vitu nusu. And so that we stop confusing each other as to what we believe, in the different religion. And others, they express themselves because of the freedom that they have to. So if you feel like you don't want to wear nini, personal. I have opinions on that, because if you're walking around naked, and I mean really naked, imagine the shock. Like, you're shocking me. Like, I'm traumatized for life. Short story, very short. 2012, I enter Matatu. There's 3 Maasai gentlemen that enter pass. And actually, no. They entered before us. So tulikuwa hapo and they enter. And I enter the Matatu and I see at the back, and this man has his legs wide open and his items are out. Guys, I've never forgotten. That thing traumatized me. Seeing his man parts genuinely traumatized me. Like, I felt so violated. He wasn't doing anything. So yeah, we say modesty is a personal conviction. To an extent, it's a personal conviction. Culturally and socially, if the things you're wearing or how you're dressed or how you look is not socially acceptable, it starts to become harmful because you're rebelling and dishonoring the culture. Because now you're just shocking people everywhere. And that puts you in a not very comfortable position. Okay. So my reference point is that Maasai gentleman. Please, Maasai gentleman, we love you so much. Please put on underwear if you're gonna have your legs wide open in public transport. Because the kids, I was a baby. And yeah, so when we say that modest is personal and not public or public property, right? Modest fashion is chic, very chic. And we have brands like Alganato, we have Nekesa Queens, we have the Modest Code, right? We have so many different brands. We have so many different brands that actually promote modesty, and it means that this is a matter of choice, and they use Kenyan prints in modern modest cuts. So if that's your thing, you can go find what to wear or inspiration. And in the space of modesty being personal, choosing sacredness instead of erasure is something that's big in that space of modesty. That private doesn't mean invisible or ashamed. Okay. Like, me choosing to cover up my body does not erase me. And there is a misconception, especially with a lot of women in religious spaces, where the value of who you are, your beauty, disappears because you have chosen to cover yourself more than the average woman would. I have been asked so many times, because I really enjoy wearing maxi skirts. I really enjoy wearing big clothes because sasa, my body is mine. I know it. I appreciate it. And I like wearing comfortable clothing. And when you have a big bust and a big, midsection, whatever, you're big up and down, you have the hourglass figure. When you wear big things, it tends to make you look bigger than you are. And I have gotten so many comments on, sasa mbona unavanga hizi manguo kubwa kubwa? But I'm like, why not? In order for me to look good, must I only wear figure hugging things? Again, for me with this body, it is uncomfortable for me to wear figure hugging things. I will wear them, but they're not as comfortable as my maxi skirts and my big blazers and my big hoodies and my big t-shirts. Okay? So there is a very interesting perception in society where if you choose, it is your choice to wear big clothing, then people start to feel like there's something wrong with you. No, genuinely, we also need to balance ourselves out. We need to balance ourselves out. We need to really just get to a point where if you don't need to comment on it, you're not my close friend, then don't comment on it because it offers no value. Like you could ask to find out if it's a religious preference, just to understand me, but don't say it like, why do you do this? Because then in that particular language, it's, okay, why do you do this thing that I don't expect you to be doing? Why does your expectation of how I should dress matter? And that's now how I put it across the board, especially when I'm covered. Like, why does it make you uncomfortable if my whole body figure is not showing? That's very interesting feedback that I've gotten because I really like to wear big skirts. I really like to, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't. You look much nicer. And I'm like, I disagree with you. I look much nicer when I am comfortable. And so ladies, wear what makes you comfortable, but society are going to reserve their like nobody asked, okay? Nobody asked, but they're going to give you their opinions. So it's wisdom to understand that. So I'm advising you who gives unsolicited comments about people's looks other than complimenting them. But I'm also letting you know that whatever you choose to wear, if you're full figured and you choose to wear big clothes, people are going to have opinions. When I wear full figured clothing that is body hugging, then there's people with opinions like, hey, leo umetutolea kila kitu, like as if I'm trying to do something. It's just my body and the clothing that fits me. I'm not attempting anything. And so you just have to accept that society, we're not very smart. We're a bit soft on the inside, okay? And yes, so just digital modesty looks like curating your online presence, protecting your privacy, and sharing on your terms. Don't be out there tagged on photos that you're uncomfortable in with what you look like. Be very careful digitally if you have photos on your gallery that you don't want out there. Learn about digital safety, protecting yourself. Just that privacy is very, very, very important. And curate what you want people to see you as, knowing the dangers out there. Unfortunately, now we have to do it for ourselves because we want and care to be modest, but also doing it for the world that is broken. And that's the reality of life. So healthy balance. And as we finish off, we have Lillian Muli, we have Joyce Omondi, just a lot of our public figures in the media space who, actually dress in what a lot of society would call modest. Like, yes, we see your figure, but we also see you well covered up and we like what you're wearing. But that's depend on what people prefer. So that's for public figures. There's different levels of modesty for different people. A lot of pastors' wives dress very modestly, but are we all pastors' wives? Okay, but now if we're just there for Jesus, what should we do? This is why I want your feedback. I want you to tell me, if you're just a girly, what is modesty? Is it comfort? Is it religion? Is it culture? Should we consider all of them and then still put your opinion? Is it your opinion first and how you feel? What comes first when it comes to modesty? All right. And we have brought this conversation to an end. So continue honoring your culture, honor your faith, honor your identity, and be seen on your own terms. That's what I'm saying. Because I will honor myself as a Christian. What does the Bible say? Because I choose that. It's a choice I was given, and that's a choice I've made. And it's okay if somebody is uncomfortable with me choosing that, right? If I choose not to show my breasts because it doesn't honor God, then that's my right. I choose to honor this culture, right? I grew up in a space where booty shots were normal when it's hot, crop tops, tank tops. But I choose to honor the culture because it's not going to help anybody when I dress like that. It's going to make me uncomfortable. It's going to make them uncomfortable. So it's wisdom for me to have, cultural humility and my identity. Now I choose the right to put on my piercings, even if it makes people uncomfortable. So I feel like I do a healthy balance of everything, of being true to myself, wearing what's good for my faith, what's good for my personal convictions, and also what's good for society. Society will always have a problem. It doesn't matter what. But that's what I choose to do. So I don't know about you. Let me know. I've already told you where you can find me, where you can find us. So, okay. Yeah. We're moving from policing to protecting. We're moving to protect expression rights, moving to protect digital dignity online, right? Digital safety, as well as to protect a freedom of conscience. So those are the things that we're looking for in this conversation. And I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you have gotten your mind, something has been triggered. You've been triggered and you're like, for sure, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to think about that. And I just want you to remember that the way you dress is not an apology. Whether you're in a bui, you're in a dera, you're in a crop top or a hijab, what matters is why you chose it. Be clear. Be very clear on why you chose it and let it be influenced by the correct things, because we've talked about it culturally, religiously, and self. Where's the balance, right? Modesty is very beautiful, and but only if it's your choice, because if it's not, you're also living a fake life. You're a prisoner of other people's opinions, even if it is for religious reasons. Be convicted on why you're doing it, because if you're not convicted to dress as per your religion, you shouldn't be in that religion because you don't agree with what they do. Okay, so you need to make a choice and be convicted and let it become your decision. And continue walking boldly. God sees your heart and not necessarily your hemline. But have a way of expressing that. So I love you guys. This has been our Sheversation for today. And yes, I hope that we've understood more about modesty, and also just you being reminded that our body and women's bodies are not public property, regardless of how broken society is. So I'm going to leave you with some good, and I'm going to see you guys on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio.
Siku yetu ya mapenzi, maisha kuishi na wewe hadi milele ndio raha kwangu, nimekweka mbele juu kabla kujuana, tulitongozana ikaingiana, tukashindwa kuachana. Ona leo hii, you're in love with me. Kabla kujuana, tulitongozana, iliingiana, tuliomba sana. Ona leo hii, you mine to be for the rest of my life, for the rest of my life. I feel so lucky, unami, for the rest of my life, for the rest of my life, for the rest of my life. I feel so happy, unami, for the rest of my life. Yelele mama,
And now, the newest couple in town. Do see how? And I really broke down when I saw you walk in your wedding gown. Whoa, whoa. Kabla kujuwana, tulitongozana, ikaingiana, tukashindwa kuachana. Ona leo